in Washington, graduate of Ambrose 2004. Go Bees. I'll be taking you through a simple yoga practice. I've been a yoga practitioner for about 15 years, and I've been teaching for about 13. I'm also a personal trainer in the Des Moines area, and this is something that I'd like to offer you as an opportunity for this alumni weekend. Start short and simple for those of you that aren't familiar with the practice. You're more than welcome to take the challenges a step further. We'll get ahead and get right into it. We start in an easy cross-leg position. From here, we find patience in the moment, working to be present, looking towards an intention for the practice. Today, let your intention maybe be simply presence. Presence of mind, presence on the mat. Your intention is not a goal, but a purpose, a chance for you to find inspiration from within. Each breath finding a little bit more space within your heart, breathing in through the nose and out as you slowly heat up your internal temperature. As we start to awaken for our practice, move around just a little bit, whatever feels natural for you. Maybe wiggling the toes, moving through the shoulders, the neck. We'll find our first pose, an easy twist from here. Right hand comes down, active in the palm. From there, the opposite arm becomes our leverage, lifting up out of the hips, shoulders staying down and back as we breathe. Each exhale, we find just a little bit more room. An inhale takes us up, creating just a little bit more length with this next side, feeling the difference left to right as you drop down that left palm. Shoulder relaxes down and back. The right arm becomes our leverage as we pull that right shoulder towards the left side of our body, lifting up and out of the ribs. Continuing to build on the flexibility in our spine. An easy side twist becomes our next pose. One more breath for length. And as you exhale, right arm comes down. With ease, palm stays active. Slight bend in that elbow as you lift up and out of your left side. An inhale takes you up. Gathering ourselves as we work towards the opposite side of our body. Left palm comes down, slight bend in the elbow, lifting up and out of the right side. Maybe turning that pinky towards the back of your body to deepen the stretch through the hips, shoulders, and longest fingers. Inhale, coming back up. As we exhale, we'll come right towards the middle, finding an easy forward fold, reaching as far as you can towards the front of your body. Feet stay active. The exhale helps you deepen. Here's another chance for you to find that intention and just move around. Feel what's already starting to change within your body. We'll continue with our warm-up, working into a deep and subtle double knee twist. All right, feet outside hip distance as you bring the knees up. You'll drop the knees to the right side. That left knee working to replace the space behind that right foot. Gently twisting towards the back of your body. Palms stay active, shoulders down and back. Work to pull your heart towards the back of your mat here. Maybe noticing the deep stretch in that left inner thigh. Maybe some tension in that right hip. Breathe into what you find. Transitioning to the opposite side, using your core strength, keeping the feet where they are, finding the opposite side of your mat, again, twisting towards the back. Palms are active, shoulders soft as you pull your heart. Core strength and adduction brings those knees back to center. Work to extend your legs. We'll come into our first seated pose. Big inhale takes us up. As we exhale, we'll work to deepen that same stretch we've already worked towards. On the exhale, twisting towards the left side of your body. Left palm comes down. On the inhale, lengthen through the right side of your back. Notice the stretch from the edge of that right hip through the right longest finger. Core strength is active. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, twist to the opposite side. Right palm comes down. Lift up and out the back ribs. Taking one more breath, and then on your inhale, we'll come into our first seated forward fold as we exhale, deepen into that stretch. Navel moving towards the spine, inner thighs pulling towards the hips. All right, maybe you start with your hands at the shins, maybe a slight bend in the knees. This is our first forward fold, a chance to just see what our body's capable of throughout this practice today. Finding as many breaths as you need on your next inhale, rolling up. Shoulders come down and back as you exhale. Finishing up our warm-up with a long leg variation of our standing leg. All right. We'll do it from a lying position. From here, grabbing the back of your thigh on the right, extending through the heel. Each breath, find a little bit more room through the hamstring, maybe rolling the ankle, cracking the toes. To deepen the stretch, option to walk your hands past the calf, maybe even towards the ankle, maybe even towards the base of that foot. Again, our goal is not to keep that leg straight, but is to reach through the heel with confidence. Shoulders stay down and back. To deepen the stretch, extend through that opposite heel. On that exhale, pulling the navel to the spine, controlling that leg down. Moment to reset, feeling the difference left to right once again. We'll reset as we work through the left side of the body, grabbing the back of that thigh, extending through the heel. For some of us, maybe this is enough. Be patient with your body as you start to explore what challenges you may have today. Walking the hands past the calf, maybe pausing towards the ankle, maybe pausing towards the base of the foot, maybe pausing, and then a final extension through the opposite leg gives you a full and deepening expression of what you can do for your practice. Exhale, releasing as you bring that heel down. One big inhale as you exhale, finding another forward fold, and this is a chance for you to prepare finally for the rest of your practice. Right? We've concluded the portion of our sequence from seated. We'll work into a tabletop position next. Option to cross those ankles and roll over them. Also an option to sweep the legs behind your body. Take a couple moments here in that forward fold, and then when you're ready, the cross leg variation is expressed in the video. Find your way to tabletop. As we find ourselves in tabletop, knees directly below the hips, hands directly below the shoulders. A cat-cow stretch continues our practice, inhaling and exhaling with your own space, connecting the movement with the breath. Inhale draws the belly down, exhale rounds through the spine. Start to notice as the shoulder blades open and close. Start to notice as the pelvis tilts anteriorly and posteriorly. Feel the tops of your feet, the inner thighs. Each breath, you're creating more space, but also feeling where your limitations may be. We'll continue by floating that right leg, working into bird dog pose. Opposite arm extends. Notice that length in the back leg, noticing the glute and the extension through the longest finger. From here, elbow to knee for 3 breaths. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, extending. Each breath, find a little bit more motility in the middle of the spine, creating more space through the low back, maybe even between the shoulder blades. Left foot is active, palm is active, 1 breath, and then releasing. Checking in with yourself, maybe finding a couple cat-cow stretches here to feel the difference through both sides. Working through the left side now, active in the hips, making sure that left hip points down, flexing through the foot to make sure our glutes are active. 3 breaths as you find your elbow to knee. One side's usually different than the other, just feeling and exploring our bodies as we begin. Pausing at the top for one, maybe two breaths, and then coming back to center. Here, finishing up from the kneeling position, working an easy over the shoulder gaze. Each inhale, each exhale, you're working to condense the side of the body you're looking over, maybe looking for the shoulder or the hip. As you get comfortable, finding that shoulder to hip C shape and pushing back to child's pose as we conclude. In that child's pose, tops of the feet are active, reaching towards the front of your mat. One or two breaths here, and we'll transition into our first down dog, tucking the toes, lifting the hips, resetting yourself if necessary. Your first down dog shouldn't be your best one. We're still waking our bodies up. Looking for a nice upside down V, moving around through your body, maybe bending the knees dramatically and lifting up and through the hips. Option is shake the head, yes or no. Pad those feet. Palms remain active. Coming to our first up dog, we'll start from the kneeling position, bringing our hearts all the way to the mat. As we continue to build, shouldn't be a lot of pressure in the palms right away. Instead, lift through the back of your body, setting the shoulders away from the ears. As you continue to feel that strength, now activating your palms, elbows brushing the torso as you continue to lift, maybe even completing that extension in that up dog. Exhale, tucking the toes, lifting the hips once again for down dog. Second time here, maybe a little bit more familiar to your body. Continue to build through it, and we'll find our first full vinyasa. From here, inhaling to plank as you exhale, rolling over the balls of the toes, leading with the heart, maybe finding that up dog by rolling through, or pause it if necessary, and coming right back to that down dog. Your vinyasa is a chance for you to actively move through your breath, making sure your body's feeling what's happening. From here, we'll take a nice step forward, maybe tiptoe, step, walk, or jump to the front of your mat. First, standing forward fold of the practice. We've worked two from seated. The inhale lengthens the spine, exhale deepens the fold. Again, padding those feet, stretching through the calves. On your inhale, we'll reverse swan dive. Extend your arms out towards the side of your body, reaching through your wrists. Nice flat back as you come all the way up to standing. Lengthen the spine, depth in the breath. As you exhale, hands come back to prayer center, finding our first mountain pose or Tadasana. So now as we begin the practice, we'll start off nice and simply, making sure we've gotten a foundation of strength, working through our vinyasa, coming back to that mountain. Look at your intention, reflect on that intention that you started the practice with. From here, we'll begin by taking those arms up once again, finding a nice breath, and creating some length in the spine. Inhale, reaching. Shoulders draw down and back, tailbones tuck as you exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, deepen the fold, step, walk, or jump yourself back to that plank position, working our vinyasa. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, urdhva mukha svanasana. Exhale, adho mukha svanasana. So up dog and down dog. Create that same length in the spine that we're looking for, one direction or the other. Keep it as simple as you float your right heel nice and high. Hips stay parallel to the ground. As you exhale, passing that right foot between the hands, rounding the spine just as you did in your cat-cow, finding your first runner's lunge of the practice. We'll bring the back knee down, finding low lunge. Top of the back foot comes down, left hip reaching towards the front of the room. All right, creating a little bit more length, pulling those ribs through the back of our body. Each breath, we find a little bit more room. Taking 3 to 5 breaths here. As you exhale, we'll come into a half split variation. Hands frame that foot, shooting the right hip back. First breath here, our goal is to make sure our hips are parallel. Top of that left foot is active. Option to tuck the toes to deepen the stretch. Work to drag your right hip towards the back of the mat. Each breath, work to deepen just a little bit more. Your body now is slowly repeating an effort. Get comfortable in how you're breathing. From here, we'll bring that back hip forward, gently stepping forward back into our standing forward fold. Inhale, flat back lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Next inhale, reverse swan dive coming back up, reaching through the back of our body. Inhale, lengthening the spine. Exhale, hands come back to center. As you work through the opposite side, think about what challenges you found through that first side. On the inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, swan dive down, palms active. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, deepen the fold. Step, walk, or jump back towards the mat, finding your vinyasa. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Starting to connect the movements with the breath, still moving nice and slow through this first sequence. Left heel floats, hips stay parallel. See if you can reach through the heel just as you did in your warm-up. Don't collapse into that neck or that back. Exhale, rounding the spine, drawing the navel towards the ceiling. Left foot comes between the hands. Right knee drops down as you find your first low lunge. Beautiful breaths as you start to settle in. Top of that right foot is active, right hip moving forward, left hip moving back. Coming into those half splits, same challenge as you were before. One side might be better than the other. Frame the foot, shoot the left hip back. Each breath, allow the hamstrings to open. Option to bring the hands closer to the hips if you feel really tight on one side or the other. Otherwise, our goal is to make sure that the top of the head reaches towards the front of the mat, that left hip reaches towards the back. To deepen the stretch, you'll walk your hands even further towards the front, creating just a bit more length. As you work to step forward, reaching into that left hip, stepping forward with the right as we come back to our forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, deepen the fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive coming up. Exhale, bringing yourself back to center. Hands to prayer. So now as we move into the sequence for today, we'll work one sequence and we'll work it 3 times, building up one after another. Each time you work through it, get a little bit more comfortable in what your body's capable of. Take a moment here now to just shake out everything you've already found. And as we work through the sequence, we'll inhale up. Come into standing twist. Exhale, twisting over the left shoulder, keeping the hips facing the front of the mat. One breath here. And then as you inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, twist into the opposite side. Same challenge. Gazing over the back shoulder just as you did in your warm-up. Inner thighs working. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, cactus stretch. Reaching the elbows towards the back of your body, pulling your heart through. Inhale, lift, and as you exhale, fold. So we'll repeat that each time. Inhale, flat back, exhale, deepen. And then coming into our first chair pose, reaching into the hips, heavy into the heels, thumbs towards the back of your body. For a lot of us, we end up shrugging through this pose. But your first goal is to make sure your inner thighs are squeezing and you're heavy in the heels. Should be able to wiggle those toes just a little bit. We won't be here too long the first time. As you inhale, come out, and exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, lengthen, exhale, deepen the fold, step, walk, or jump back to plank. And we find our vinyasa as we begin our first sequence. All right, so with repetition, we find confidence. We'll float that right leg up once again. Come into our first core sequence. Your knee comes to the chin as you round. The next exhale takes that right knee to that right elbow. And then our third breath takes that right knee to that left elbow. Exhale, bringing that right foot through. Taking a moment to pause in your runner's lunge. Our first standing pose from here is our crescent. All right, so crescent's a nice balanced challenge, working to bring that back knee up, trusting the strength in that front leg in any lunge variation. We'll find 3 to 5 breaths here, staying as long as you need to, and then transition into a warrior 2 following that final breath. All right. In that transition, we'll drop the back heel, working to align it with that front heel, and then from here, reaching the limbs away from one another. Trying to keep the shoulders above the hips, so notice if you're reaching too far forward or back. Inner thighs are active. Move them away from one another. Third pose takes us into an exalted warrior. So from here, we'll straighten out both legs, and as we take that left hand down, we'll reach through that right arm. The goal is to align that right foot with the right hip and the right longest finger. To deepen the stretch, you can bring the left arm behind your back. Finding one more big breath, and then as you exhale, windmill your arms down to your instep. Final pose of the sequence is going to be a lizard pose, and we'll build on this as we move through the sequence. Back knee comes down, both hands are on the inside. You're going to find the outside edge of your right foot. All right. Use your hands to support what you're looking for. Press into your left foot, moving that hip forward. Option to drop down to those forearms to deepen the stretch. Maintaining 3 to 5 breaths here as you start to feel your body open up. An even more advanced option will be to bring your back heel towards the front of your body, feeling a deeper quad stretch on the left, a deeper hamstring stretch on the right. One breath. And then we'll work to finish up the pose simply by bringing that knee back in, framing that right foot, and stepping towards the front of our mats. We'll finish up this first sequence coming into a gorilla pose, grabbing both big toes with the 2-piece fingers, pulling your elbows towards the outside of your body. 2 to 3 breaths here. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, pulling those elbows out, pulling the top of the head down, feeling the back of your body opening up, and the difference through the left and the right side. Reverse swan dive up as you come back towards that Tadasana. Exhale, hands come back to center. So now working the same sequence on the opposite side. We'll inhale up, twisting towards one side of your body, finding that standing twist. Hips facing the front of your mat. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, twisting to the opposite side. Middle of your spine's doing the work. Another inhale takes us up. Exhale, cactus. Broadening, maybe even tucking the tailbone and squeezing the hips just a little bit more on your exhale, fold. Coming back into that chair pose. Once again, inhale, flat back. Exhale, deepen. Next inhale, reaching through the back of your body, sweeping the arms up, thumbs towards the back of your head. Pinkies maybe reaching towards one another. Maybe this time going a little bit deeper, a little bit heavier in the heels. Don't let those knees do the work. Instead, squeeze your inner thighs. As you inhale, coming out, exhale, deepen the fold. Inhale, flat back, lengthens. Exhale, deepens the fold once again. We'll step, walk, or jump back to plank fine in your vinyasa. This time through your vinyasa, you can take that push-up or chaturanga out and just meet into down dog. We'll work through the left side of our body with an inhale through the heel. Core sequence once again as you exhale, rounding the spine, knee to chin, floating up. Left knee, left shoulder, high into that shoulder as you breathe, floating back up. And then slowly taking that knee across the front of your body, elbow active, and then bringing that left foot between the hands. All right, once again, our sequence starts with crescent lunge. Take a moment, find that breath, and then when you're ready, front leg is your strength, back leg is your support. Bringing that right knee towards the ceiling, right hip towards the front of your body. Breathe. Making any adjustments you need, finding warrior two, dropping your back heel. Try to maintain the arch through both feet as you find this second side. Reaching through the longest fingers, shoulders stay down and back. Maybe tucking the tailbone to find just a little bit more room. Third pose, reversing your triangle, exalting your warrior, squeezing your inner thighs. Reaching from the base of your pelvis up through the longest finger, drawing that straight line from the left foot through the hip, through the longest finger. Option even reaching just a little bit further, grabbing that top arm. Try not to collapse through the right side of your body. One more deep breath as you exhale. Finding our lizard pose, maybe taking one more breath wherever you are. You'll bend back into that knee, sweeping the arms towards the front of the mat. Hands are at the instep, back knee comes down. So now readjusting yourself this second time through, finding the outside edge of your left foot, pressing into the top of the right foot, making any adjustments you need. This may be enough for some of us. Option also again to drop down to those forearms. Also an option again to bring that back heel towards the front of your body. Take a few moments for yourself and feel what your body's capable of. As we finish up the pose, framing that left foot, standing towards the front of your mat, nice and easy, and breathing. All right, we'll follow up that gorilla pose now with a deeper variation of a forward fold. Our goal here now is to wrap our arms around the shins, around the thighs, maybe grabbing opposite wrists, opposite elbows, lifting those inner thighs towards the ceiling, allowing the top of our head to fall, chin to tuck. 3 to 5 breaths there, and on the inhale, reverse swan dive coming up. Exhale, hands come back to center. So now, second time through the sequence, we've worked to build up on that foundational strength. We'll start to add a couple nuances to deepen this strength. On the inhale, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, twisting to one side. Inhale, coming back up. Exhale, twisting through the opposite side. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, cactus stretch. Inhale, coming up as you exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back lengthens. Exhale, deepens the fold. Coming into that chair once again. This time, working the twist from our chair. All right, twisting from one side, don't let the knees separate. Instead, squeeze the inner thighs as you breathe from one side to the next. Coming back to chair, reaching, and then on your exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Coming back to that vinyasa. Option to do the vinyasa once again. Otherwise, a single leg vinyasa. Start with that right leg floating. The exhale brings us to chaturanga. The inhale brings the both feet down, lifting us into up dog. As you exhale, kicking that right foot back into that three-legged down dog and feeling just a little bit more room, even opening up the hip this time. Feel your core, feel your breath as you get more comfortable in the sequence that you've already done once before. We'll work into that core sequence. This time, just 2 points of contact, knee to chin, and then crossing over that body. As you exhale, passing that right foot through, coming back to the start of our sequence. So building up on where we are, inhale into crescent. As you exhale, transition into warrior two. Once again, shoulders above the hips. Reversing our triangle, inner thighs, squeezing, maybe this time grabbing that front arm to deepen the stretch, tucking that tailbone. As you exhale, windmill down into lizard. This time in our lizard, we can take it deeper into a form of an iron cross pose. We're going to drop that right shoulder under that right thigh. If that lizard was enough for you, stay there. Back leg stays up in that lizard pose variation, and we'll transition into Skandasana. Pivot towards the left side of your mat. Couple options in Skandasana. A deepening stretch. You can keep the heel up. You can drop the heel down using your hands as a support, and you can even release your hands as you find a little bit more of a stretch through that right hamstring. We won't be here too long, but we will repeat this pose, pivoting towards the back of the mat. We'll come into our first balance challenge, Warrior 3. Left leg is active, right leg floats. For Warrior 3, making a capital T shape with our bodies, thumbs towards the ceiling, pinkies reaching towards one another. It's okay if you lose your balance here. Breathe as you find that extension through the longest fingers and that heel. Transitioning this challenging balance pose into a standing leg variation. So if you can, pass that knee through. If you need to pause, if you fall out, that's quite all right as well. But we'll bring that right knee up nice and high, extend through the arms. This is your body feeling around. Working to bring the knee to the chest. Option also to grab the back of the thigh, one or the other, focusing on that strength in that left leg. From here, standing leg modifiers. Grab the back of the thigh, extend through the heel. We've worked it from a lying position. Also an option to grab that big toe, keeping the tailbone tucked, working into a standing leg towards the front of your body. Plenty of options here, just breathing as you settle into the pose. All right, we'll transition towards the back of the mat. Finding our vinyasa once again. Well done, well done. We'll work through the opposite side of our bodies, opposite side of the pose and expression. We'll start back at towards the top of our mat. Option to step, walk, or jump towards the front. Inhale, flat back lengthen. Exhale, deepen the fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive coming up. Exhale, hands come back to prayer center. So now working through the opposite side, getting comfortable, confident. On the inhale, sweeping up. As you exhale, twist to one side. Inhale, coming back up. Exhale, twist to the opposite side. Inhale, coming back up. Exhale, cactus, broadening across the heart, tucking the tailbone. Inhale, and then exhale, fold. Remember, we're twisting on both sides of that chair, so take that inhale to that flat back. Reach into your chair. Exhale, twist to one side. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, twisting through the opposite side. Inhale back to center. As you inhale next, exhale, fold. Coming back into that vinyasa. If you did that single leg vinyasa on the first side, work it on the second side. If you're taking that chaturanga out, you are more than welcome to. This is your chance now to freely move, knowing where you're going, confident in that space. For those of you that did that single leg, stack those hips. We're coming to 2 points of contact for our core sequence this time. As you exhale, bring the knee to chin, rounding, and then crossing over that body, left knee across. As you exhale, sweeping that foot through, finding that runner's lunge. Inhale into crescent. Exhale, finding warrior two, dropping the back heel, shoulders above the hips, reaching through the back arm. Reverse triangle, grabbing that front wrist to deepen it into a star variation. And then as you exhale, windmill down, coming into that lizard variation. So iron cross second time through, dropping that left shoulder under, pressing through the back foot. You can keep the knee up or down, no wrong answer. You can even find the outside edge of that left foot. All right, so now challenge transition here, lifting the hips, transition into Skandasana on this side. Again, to keep that foot flat is a challenge. Start with the heel high, maybe resting your hip on the heel. To deepen it, let that left heel drag, drop into that foot. You can bring your hands off to find a more advanced variation of the pose. As you lift your hips, you'll pivot towards the front of your mat. Once again, we'll come into that first balance on this side, warrior three, making a capital T shape with your body. Not worry about the height of the back leg, but focusing on the strength in the front leg. Wiggling, shaking is quite all right. Focus your energy through the heel and through the longest fingers. Inhale, working to transition into that standing leg variation. Option to pause as you bring the knee and the arms nice and high, lengthen the spine, depth in the breath. Remember our goal, we can grab the back of the thigh or we can work to bring the knee to the chest. Right leg still strong. Breathe into that space. Working into the standing leg variation. First variation, back of the thighs, extend through the heel. Second variation, big toe hold. Wiggling and shaking is quite all right. Breathe as you create that length. If you fall out, that's quite all right. We'll take it through that vinyasa one more time, and we'll give ourselves a little bit of a break before we go in through our sequence. Take 3 to 5 breaths in your down dog, and we'll meet in our child's pose. Also an option to meet in a hero's pose, which I'll display here after one more breath. Drop into the knees, tops of the feet come down. Option to find child's pose here. Otherwise, Virasana is a great stretch for the ankles, following those down dogs. Also a great stretch for the quads. If it bothers your ankles, you can work to sit between the knees, between the ankles, right, or tuck those toes. Taking just a few moments here, and as we come into the final variation of this sequence, I'll give you a couple more advanced options. Otherwise, work to repeat what you've already done. We start first coming into our cat-cow once again. Hands directly below the shoulders, knees directly below the hips. Inhaling and exhaling. Just as we did to start our practice, we're working to that bird dog, this time giving ourselves a lateral variation. Once you find the opposite arm, opposite leg, you'll extend the left arm now to the side of the body. Internally rotate the right hip as you reach through that right heel. Pulling the navel to the spine, we'll pause for 1, maybe 2 breaths, extend back to center, finishing up the expression with a tiger pose, bending the right knee, reaching the left hand towards that right foot. It's okay if you don't get there. This is a deep stretch in that quad. The strength is in the right palm and the top of the left foot. Allow the stretch to happen through that right hip, and then coming back to center. A couple moments to shake it out. Same idea as we work through the opposite side. Give yourself a couple moments. Left leg floats. Add that right arm. Pause in here, maybe staying here if you like. Otherwise, right arm comes out to the lateral side of your body. Internally rotating the left hip, maybe just with that left knee first, shooting that left heel out. Pausing for a breath or two, pulling the navel in, protecting the low back. As we come back to center, you'll bend the left knee. Finding tiger pose. Right foot, left hand are your strength as you press that left foot and to that right hand. One breath coming back to center, and as you exhale, release. All right, so now preparing for our final sequence. Same variations we've already worked, but I'll add some more advanced variations for those of you that want to take your practice a step further. You've already been here. As you breathe, your body is working to just go a little deeper into that sensation. Option of vinyasa here. Otherwise, let's meet in down dog, step, walk, or jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, flat back, exhale, deepen. Inhale, reverse swan dive up, exhale, hands back to prayer center. Taking it right into that fourth and final progression. I'm going to add a couple more advanced variations, as I said before, but take your time. Inhale, float. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist to the opposite side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, deepen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, lengthen, exhale, deepen the fold. Coming into our final chair. As you inhale, reaching, we'll twist once again, exhale to one side. Maybe those knees start to separate. Feel your inner thighs. Exhale, twist to the opposite side, reaching. All right, options to deepen. I'm going to give you an option for a toe balance here. Keeping the hips above those heels, floating. Strengthen the inner thighs. 2 to 3 breaths there as you exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, lengthen. Exhale, deepen the fold. Step, walk, or jump back to plank. We'll find another vinyasa here. All right, coming into our sequence one last time, we'll stack the hips. Find Wild Thing here. So for Wild Thing, the left side of your body is going to be the strength when you float that right leg. Keep the right leg bent, keeping the heel high, lifting up through the ribs. Each inhale, each exhale, find a little bit more strength through that left side. And then we'll come back up as we exhale, come into our sequence for the final time here. Inhale, crescent. All right, this time we'll find a thunderbolt pose. Exhale, reaching towards the front of the mat, and then slowly deepening as you find your final warrior two here. All right, finding a star pose, reverse triangle, whatever feels good to you, lifting up and out, then exhale, windmill and down. All lizard variations are available here. Otherwise, I'll demonstrate a single arm, single leg crow. All right, one breath there, Ekapada Galavanasana, and we'll find Skandasana, shifting our weight towards the back of the mat. Heel can be down or up. Lifting the hips, pivoting towards the back of our mat. We're going to try to float into that warrior three and transition right into that standing leg, balancing our effort one last time, strong through that pose, and then as you exhale, coming back through. Final vinyasa here. Maybe a breath or two in that down dog, otherwise stacking the hips, maybe pausing in that stack. Your strength now is on the right side of your body as you lift through the hips, lengthen the spine, depth in the breath. Feeling your core strength, floating up into three-legged dog one last time as you exhale, passing into your final runner's lunge. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, thunderbolt pose, reaching towards the front of your body. Exhale into your warrior two. Deepest, most confident variation, and then reaching towards the back of your body, whatever variation you found here, deepen it. Exhale, windmill down, finding your lizard. Option to go into that arm balance on this side as well. Ekapada Galavanasana, strong in your inner thighs, your core. As you reach back, we'll work into Skandasana one final time. Let your body go where it takes you. Calm, comfortable breath, lifting the hips, pivoting towards the front of our back. One last time, shifting our weight, working into warrior three. Balancing your effort, pulling the navel to the spine as you lift through into that standing leg. Shaking means you're working. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then as you exhale, coming right back into your final vinyasa. All right, 2 to 3 breaths in your down dog, and then we'll come into a nice, easy cross-leg position. Option to draw those knees towards the mat, cross the ankles, and push back. Otherwise, come down into tabletop, sweep your legs around, and we'll meet in a seated position. So now, as we begin our cool down to finish up our practice for this day, we're taking just a few breaths to feel that internal heat. Finding some neck rolls, gazing over one shoulder. All right, pausing just for an exhale. Maybe taking one ear to one shoulder, breathing in through the nose. and out through the mouth, starting to cool down our bodies. One full revolution of those neck rolls from one side to the next. Always like to finish up the practice finding just the little core strength that we've already worked. We'll work into a boat pose or nirvasana. All right, heels are active, knees are up, grabbing the back of your thighs as you set yourself up. I'll give you a couple progressions, starting with that half boat, maintaining the back of the thighs, holding on to that space, shoulders down and back. Completing that half boat by releasing the hands, pulling the navel towards the spine. Option to take it into a full nirvasana, extending through the heel. Final variation, an even deeper progression, extending through those thumbs, those fingers, as you find that full boat. And as we exhale, we'll come back to center hands to prayer. Option to repeat that. Otherwise, we'll come into a nice seated twist. Another couple variations here. Let's bring the right knee towards the chest, heel towards the hips, roll the ankle, crack the toes. Try not to collapse into the low back. For our Marichasana 3 twist, we're going to keep our foot on the inner thigh, but also an option to deepen the twist, taking it on the outside of that thigh. From here, you'll plant your right hand, lift up through the back ribs, left arm, inhale, exhale, taking that elbow as far over that thigh as you can. All right, reset that back arm if you need to, if you feel it in your neck. Otherwise, you're going to squeeze that right knee towards your torso, lift up and out of those hips. Coming back to center one more time in that extended leg that we began with. Maybe it feels a little different. Maybe it feels a little bit more flexible, a little bit more malleable. Maybe it feels the same, but our goal is the same. Extend through the heel and then control that leg coming back down. Take a moment to reset, a nice big inhale, a big audible exhale, and we'll work to the opposite side. Pulling the left knee towards the chest, heel towards the hip, roll the ankles, crack the toes. Again, we're keeping the foot on the inside, option to bring it on the outside, just as we did. All right. But from here, left hand comes down, inhale the right elbow, exhale, deepen the twist. Each breath, find a little bit more room through the middle of the spine, maybe feeling your low back relaxing a little bit more. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Options here also could include a bind, maybe a half bind, but we're going to finish up with that extended leg, grabbing the base of that big toe. Option to bring it back or regress it if you need to, grabbing the ankle or the calf. Shoulders stay down and back, reaching through that heel. Finding one breath, and as you control it on the way down, we'll find our seated forward fold to finish up from that position. Hands come to prayer, inhale, lift. As you exhale, lead with your heart, finding the thighs, finding the calves, finding the big toe, finding the heels, all with the goal of pulling the inner thighs towards the back of the body, pulling the navel towards the ceiling. All right, option still to keep a slight bend in the knees, but we'll breathe here 3 to 5 breaths as we start to conclude our practice. As we start to finish up, take a moment, roll yourself up. And then we'll take a roll down as well. All right, we're going to meet in Shavasana. In this roll down variation, you're pulling the navel towards the spine, inner thighs, towards the hip, just as you've done throughout the practice. But start to notice the small nuances. The low back touches the mat, the mid back, shoulders, arms, and head. Take a moment to readjust yourself if necessary. We'll just work 2 poses as we conclude our practice. First pose is our spinal twist. Right knee comes towards the chest, heel towards the hip. Left hand brings that right knee across the body. Don't worry about stacking the hips necessarily, but focus on keeping the shoulders down, especially that right shoulder. Reaching through the heel with a bit more confidence. Each breath, creating a little bit more length in the spine. Three to 5 breaths as we settle here. Then as you work back to center, take a moment, readjust if necessary, and then working through the left side of your body. Knee to chest, Right hand brings that left knee across the body. Your goal again is to keep that left shoulder down. To deepen the stretch, we can work to stack the hips, but maybe focus on reaching through that right heel. Back ribs start to lift up, navel pulling towards the spine to protect that low back, and we breathe for 3 to 5 breaths. Final pose, our cue for you today is going to be our rocker. For that rocker, you're going to grab onto those shins, pull the navel to the spine, tuck the chin and roll forward and back, roll side to side. Options for happy baby, options for anything else that your practice needs. And then we'll meet in our final Shavasana. Working as many breaths as you need, but this is a chance for you to settle. Toes fall open, shoulders melt. Thank you for your practice. The light in me honors the light in you. Take as much time as you need. I leave you here to conclude your practice. Namaste.